Either way I get.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker. This is WPwatercooler, episode number 156. Today's topic is what should you include in your WordPress maintenance. Let's go around the room real quick, get everyone introduced. We're going to start with Russell. Russell, tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name is Russell Aaron, lead organizer of WordCamp Vegas, and I started a support company in 2012 called Geek Street WP, which I later sold to somebody smarter than myself.
Nice. Congrats.
Thank you.
Stuff. Sarah, what about you?
Hi, my name is Sarah. I am the production manager at Zeek Interactive. I also run the design meetup of the Orange County WordPress group. But we are not meeting tonight, so tonight isn't our normal night because we have not put together the new Zeek office yet.
Steve is still putting together all the IKEA boxes, right?
No,
I'm assembling IKEA furniture as we speak.
No, that just means that he hasn't hung up his Kramer poster yet. That's what that means.
This water cooler episode is brought to you by IKEA.
Say, what about you?
Say is my name. Say Reed. Hi, how are you? I do stuff with WordPress, make WordPress, teach WordPress, love WordPress, can pronounce WordPress. Super awesome skill I have. I am reopening my bookstore. Woo!
Awesome.
On October 23rd, if you are local, hit me up on the tweeters at Say Reed Media, and then come on down. My sister and I will be performing. And I'll be talking about that a lot for the next 2 weeks. So.
Is it called Reopen?
It's called Open. Up Again. No, it's just called Open. Open is the name of the bookstore. It's Open the Bookstore.
Awesome. Steve.
I would give you a website, but it's not up yet. So.
What about you?
I am Steve Zehngut. I'm the founder of Zeek Interactive, and I run the OC WordPress meetup.
Awesome. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me Jason Tucker on Twitter. I blog over at WPmedia.pro. So, let's talk a little bit about maintenance. You know, Steve and I were kind of trying to figure out what we're going to actually talk about here regarding maintenance.
I wasn't helping last night, by the way. I was not helping at all.
About this topic.
And Steve's always the one that comes up with the really great topics. So, Steve, how do you want to focus this?
So actually, this came out of the meetup on Monday night when somebody asked, what constitutes maintenance? And we had an hour-long discussion about what would be included in maintenance. So I was thinking we could start there. What is maintenance? According to Wikipedia. No, I'm not going to.
I have something to say about this.
Okay.
This is a really important topic. And I think this is something that is often goes by the wayside, especially for DIY folks or for folks who buy a website from somebody, basically have a developer do it and then don't stay in touch with them, and then they just operate and think it's going to just operate forever. I just had a client who recently did that. They hadn't been back to the SPDC in like 2 years, and of course they come back because their site's been hacked and blacklisted, and because HostGator. But also because they hadn't done their updates and stuff. So I think it's just really important because actually bad things can happen.
What?
Yeah. It's not just like, this is not a victimless crime.
So you should switch your website hosting to one of the other hosts that are from that same parent company.
Yeah, that'll
How about Small Orange? Go with that one. Let's try that one this time.
Or even a site site, whatever. Anyway, the point is, I just think it's important because I don't think that people realize that it's not a set it and forget it type of deal.
Yeah, like what I'm increasingly discovering, like, I mean, I've been out of freelancing for a minute here since I started working at Zeek, and a lot of the people I was working with didn't replace me, and I'm still helping where I can.
Just for the record, they can't actually.
Oh well, you're very kind. However, it's there have been a lot of hacks, like there was one where I would actually have been impressed at how extensively the site was hacked if I wasn't so annoyed.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I'm like, wow, this is great.
They really put some work into this.
So.
For the record, though, just on the subject of hacking, HostGator recommended to the client that they use SiteLock to clean the thing. SiteLock kept sending her email saying, it's been cleaned. And then the next day it'd be like, it's infected again. It's been cleaned. It's infected again. And I was like, this is bad. Sounds like Steve's days.
Can we just say Sakuri or nothing when it comes to that?
Yes. Yeah. So she got her money back from SiteLock. I recommended Security, and I just checked the site actually, and that was like on Saturday, and I just checked the site this morning, not blacklisted, back up, everything's groovy sauce balls, and that's because Security.
Sorry.
The groovy sauce balls, is that what did it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about basic maintenance, right? So the things you're talking about right now, the site's getting hacked probably because some files were outdated, right? Core files were outdated, plugins were outdated.
JavaScript.
We had an old Gravity Forms that I don't think she had updated.
Okay.
There was a big Gravity Forms hole somewhere in the past year or so, if I remember correctly.
So the first thing to list under maintenance, there's a basic maintenance. We're talking about core WordPress updates, plugin updates, theme updates.
Correct.
Okay?
Although I think theme updates would go, well, you said them last, so yeah.
Well, you're going to say they go last?
Yeah.
Because that wasn't in order, in any sort of order.
I think that core and plugins tend to be the most problematic. That's where I've seen most of the problems. I haven't seen a lot of old, unless you have like some crazy theme from ThemeForest or whatever.
Or if it's a custom theme where there's JavaScript that hasn't been updated and somebody finds a way in from there. Or
yeah, but a lot of plugins have conflicts because the theme is causing the conflict. So you almost want to update the theme first before you do your plugins, but you want to do this all on a test site, of course.
So let's not talk about the how. Let's focus on the what for a minute, okay?
Okay.
We'll talk about the how in a minute. So,
I like it when you need us, Steve.
Steve's always keeping us on track.
So, we talked about from a basic level those three things, right? Keeping those things up there.
Yeah.
Now, as a contractor, or a freelancer, is that up to you? Is that up to the host? Who does those things? Who performs that maintenance?
Who's paying for it? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Who's paying for it? Am I throwing it in, or is the customer going to be paying me to do it, or
Jason, really?
Are we paying extra to the web host, and the web host is going to do it, or do we pick a really good web host and the web host does it for us? There's all those types of variables here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important though to have a plan for that. Like if you're the user and you think that your person's just going to update stuff without telling you, they're not.
Well,
no one's going to like sneak into your back end and update.
I hate it. I hate it when somebody sneaks into my back end.
So is there an actual host that will update your plugins?
Yeah.
I know
There's a few of them actually.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
it's like, for instance, DreamHost will do it. Yeah, Pagely will do it. WP Engine will do it.
I've never had WP Engine update my plugins. I've had them tell me like
you haven't lived.
Apparently, no. Like I've gotten the emails that says like, hey, your Tim Thumb's out of whatever, or we noticed that you've had an older version of Gravity Forms.
You should not be getting any emails to say anything about Tim Thumb. I don't. What year is it?
I get them all the time, but regardless, I've never had them say, hey, there's an update for whatever gallery plugin. Like, would you like us to run it? I've never had them email me that before. I didn't know that was an option.
They just wrote you off a long time ago.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about other patches that might be included in maintenance, and that's server patches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Beyond WordPress. Beyond WordPress, we're talking about things like Apache, Nginx, Varnish, any of those types of things you might be doing on the server.
PHP version.
What's that?
PHP version.
PHP version, your MySQL version, all those server type of updates.
I had a client whose server automatically updated their PHP and it broke everything.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird.
It happens, and we, in the last version of WordPress or 2 versions of WordPress ago, they made a major MySQL update, right? So if your MySQL is out of date, that causes issues, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing is that people that run websites are not systems administrators usually, so they're not the ones that are like, oh, let me just go in here and run some updates, update core. Their web server or their LAMP stack or their whatever stack. So it's like that's the scary part. Is it's you got to hire somebody who knows what the heck they're doing.
Or use a host that does those for you automatically.
Right.
Or hire a. I actually really like this setup of using a cheaper host and getting a company like WP SiteCare or this new one. It starts with a C. Curve, Courtesy. I don't know. I'll think about it in a second.
Cryptozoology.
What about
it's a C word.
Hip Hop Anonymous?
It's a C word, guys. Use your imagination.
So
That's the NS.
WP Curve?
WP.
We're talking about WP Curve, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
WP Curve. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like their prices a lot. And the cool thing is so you hire those guys, you pay them a monthly thing, and not only do you get they keep your stuff updated, which is awesome. Also maintained, which is now part of the web dev land. But they keep your stuff updated, and super double bonus is that you get a little bit of support, which I think for the DIY folks is really helpful, because if sometimes it's not often, but maybe once a month or every other month you have a question, and if you don't have a developer on tap, or if your developer doesn't answer you for 2 weeks, you can just ask them, and that's included. And I think that's really cool.
So now WP SiteCare and WP Curve, are they going to make server updates for me? They're going to make Apache updates and database updates and things, MySQL updates, things like that?
I don't think
Do
they
you have
do.
a web server running in your closet, or
What's that?
Equal updates? I don't Sorry.
well,
I don't think they're going to, Steve.
I don't think so.
I don't think they're going to go that far. I don't even think Maintain would go that far, and those guys that Maintain are phenomenal. I don't think they're going to do server
What
updates.
they will do is they'll tell you if there's a problem, and if they update your stuff and it's not compatible, they'll put it back, which is really pretty dope sauce.
Yeah, but that's just as useful as an app telling me that Apache's out, but I still have no one to go fix it.
Well, no, because you don't. If you're hosted somewhere, you don't have to update your own Apache. You just call the host.
Fair
Okay,
enough.
or they just update it themselves. That's not something you have to actually manually do most of the time.
Sure.
Update your PHP and your Apache and your SQL. You just have to manually make sure that your install vibes with that.
Fair enough.
So what about database maintenance?
what, like doing optimizes and database table
Yes.
repairs and that sort of thing?
Yes.
I mean,
Manage WP.
Slow
does
queries.
that.
I would just start dropping tables left and right. That's what I would start doing.
So you heard it here on the water cooler.
Just get rid of it. We don't need that.
If you're looking for maintenance, hire Russ.
Yeah.
This way's not in the business
So,
anymore.
Managed, I haven't had a whole lot of experience using it, but Managed WP has a little function that tells you if there are things in your database that could be optimized, and they'll do it.
Okay.
But
Sure.
I mean, I think it's up to you then to make sure that you've added a dev server to your Managed WP install, so that you're not just doing this stuff on live.
Sure.
Okay.
There is a plugin. It's like Optimize Database or Optimize DB, and I think Cloudflare has one as well. But that's not going to go through and like tell you, hey, you don't need this table. It's just going to go get rid of unnecessary things they think is not necessary.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't want to just like willy-nilly go in there and start dropping tables, as you said.
Right. Yeah.
Do that. You really shouldn't go in your database at all unless you know what's happening in there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you should stay the F-dogs out of there.
Which is why you should use a plugin to do that sort of thing, where if you need to just, optimize the database, you click it and it'll
Well,
optimize your database.
wait. Come on, wait. To be fair, you should not use a plugin all the time. You should only use it sporadically, because if you leave a plugin that connects to your database and then someone hacks your site, you just gave them the keys to your database. So you shouldn't leave that installed and running all the time.
That's true.
Well, I mean, theoretically, if somebody has hacked your site, they can just get into your WP config file and they have the keys to your database there too. However.
But exploiting a plugin is a lot easier than getting into that WP config. Go ahead, Steve.
So back on the maintenance train for a minute.
Hey, you brought up databases.
I
Choo choo, baby, choo choo.
No,
I
I just want to remind people that like it's very important to have a backup, and it's very important to be secure. But when you leave a plugin that physically touches your database, installed and activated, like you could potentially have a risk down the road.
It's the bad touch.
I have a question.
I didn't say
Steve?
it. I didn't say it.
Yes,
Steve, I have a question for you specifically. Well, suddenly I felt like we were on You Can't Do That in Television. Okay. How often would you recommend, or in what cases do you think that it is necessary to optimize one's database or maintain one's database?
It depends what's happening to the site. It depends what the problem is. So I think that's why I'm asking, does all of this stuff fall under a maintenance contract, right? My clients would say yes, right?
Yeah.
Something's wrong
Your
with
clients would say everything, including like updating and all of the new content, falls under maintenance contract.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if they want to pay for it, A+.
And that's where this question came from, is, what constitutes maintenance? I think everybody's a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
Some people, some smaller shops or some freelancers think of maintenance as, I'm going to update core. I'm going to keep plugins updated. That's one level of maintenance. Our level of maintenance is more, something goes wrong with the site, we'll take care of it. We're here to take care of anything that goes wrong, and that includes all the stuff that we're talking about.
But your maintenance contract is way more in the dollar range.
Yes.
We also will build new features as part of maintenance.
So that was my next question: is does that fall under maintenance?
No.
Right? Building new features.
Maintenance, by definition, if you had read the definition, Steve.
I have it up here. I have it up here on Wikipedia.
Maybe we have to freaking read it. Maybe we do. But basically, it's like maintenance is keeping the system as is running, not adding new stuff. Because adding new stuff is, by definition, adding new stuff.
Wikipedia says software maintenance in software engineering is the modification of a software product after delivery to correct faults, to improve performance, or other attributes.
That doesn't say anything about functionality.
It does not.
So it says fixing things.
In 2012, when I started doing support, it was specifically for plugins and core and making a backup. And every now and then we would be like, hey, you need a template for your custom post type? Okay, we'll do that. It wasn't until like the recent years where support started to mean we will update the content on your contact page. That's when I left it. I didn't want to do support that way anymore. I didn't want to do maintenance by just updating everybody's tags inside of a page. I didn't want to do that anymore.
No, so we don't touch any content. So content does not fall under maintenance for us. That's where we draw the line.
Support and maintenance are also different things, I think, and I would like to draw a line between them.
Okay.
No, that's very fair, but I don't touch content either anymore because we had, you guys know, doing client work, a client will just copy and paste like whatever's on the Best Buy website and pass it off as their own. And then
what's wrong with that?
And then they'll turn around and be like, well, you put it on my site, you know what I mean? So like that's why I've never touched content.
Do they take that exact tone with you, Russ? Well, you put it on my site.
You put it on my site. I was just copying off of Best Buy. It works on Best Buy's website.
Vegas is a totally different world, guys. It's true.
So you know. It's true. No, but that's why, like, when I talk about maintenance, I will never talk about content and stuff like that. It's strictly software updates and keeping it current.
Yeah.
You won't talk about it except to say that you won't do it.
We are the technology.
Content is dead to you
as we approach it.
Yeah.
Technology partners.
Yeah, I think definitely though. Adding new function, keeping something that was working as software around it and its supporting software gets updated, I consider that to be maintenance, unless it requires a total code overhaul, in which case that's like basically like an upgrade or a rebuild. But as far as basically you're like, here's the product, or essentially, which is your site, whatever, and these functionalities and this realm we will keep updated and keep functional.
All right. So
that's my definition.
My sink gets clogged at home, right? I pour Drano down it.
You should stop brushing your hair into
It's temporarily fixed, right? But that didn't really fix the problem. But I had a reason for this analogy. Hang on a second. Okay.
Plumbers.
So the difference is DIY, right? So and this is where the lines get a little blurry. Is WordPress is do-it-yourself software. Right? We set up sites for our clients to maintain their own content.
Unlike sinks.
Where do you draw that line? Right? So clients can do a lot on their own, which means they can break stuff on their own. Right?
Boy, can they?
When do you hire a pro?
Well, and then does maintenance include plugins that they decided to install that broke something? Is that maintenance?
So that's a great question. So the question is, client breaks something. They did something that broke their site. Are you responsible?
I don't think so.
Here's my thing. If somebody is willing to pay you to fix something that they broke, why not be responsible for it?
Well, no, I think we're talking about built-in, not extra payment. Because anything that you talk about, I think, right? Are we talking more about maintenance contracts and things that you're like responsible to pay on a or responsible to do on a regular basis, as opposed to them coming to you separately and saying, "Oh, I broke this thing. Can you fix it?" Because that's not necessarily maintenance. That's fixing a problem. So that's troubleshooting.
I would
classify that as maintenance.
Yeah. I would disagree with that. I think it depends on the contract, right?
Yeah.
Again, our contracts are written where we take care of it.
Well, yeah, okay, so it totally depends on your contract. If you're just like, we take care of it, and you give us, $25,000 a month, then, awesome. And you get new offices in Huntington. That's dope. Just as an odd example, I'm like pulling out of the sky. But let's use a car as an example rather than your weird.
You don't like kitchen sink. You don't kitchen sink WP. I'm just gonna give a quick shout out to
Adam. What? No, so let's talk about a car, for example, right? So maintenance on a car is oil changes, making sure it's gas, washing the thing, keeping it clean, keeping it functioning. If something happens, like you get a thing in your tire, or you run over a squirrel and it goes in your engine, or
normal wear and tear.
Not normal wear. A squirrel in your engine is normal wear and tear. You're like,
depending on what part of the country you're in.
Point being, I don't think those types of incidences, or if someone hits your car accidentally, or you back into a thingy or whatever, not that those have all happened to me, but then you go to your car dude, or whatever, your car dudette, and you say, fix this, and it's not maintenance. That doesn't not included under any maintenance contract or anything. That's a separate job to fix the problem that you created, not let's keep the car running.
Well, okay, so I think we're running into like a nomenclature issue here.
I like it.
We're calling
I just like saying nomenclature.
What within the confines of this office that we call maintenance, air quotes, is anything that is outside the scope of a scope of work for like phase 1 or phase 2.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yep. So anything outside of that we consider maintenance and is billed accordingly. So if I tried to change the oil in my car and completely screwed it up beyond all recognition and had it towed into somebody's garage, they're going to fix it, and you bet I'm going to pay for it.
Yeah.
But you would still consider that to be maintenance?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even when like my engine almost completely died on me last winter. And it cost
we're totally not pulling these examples from real life. Just I don't know what you're talking about.
Here's the deal, though. Wait. No, because like what they do is they say that bring it into us between this many mileage, and no matter what, we guarantee we'll fix it. But if you change the oil and you break it, you break the warranty, and now you have to pay for it. So it comes with the warranty. If you let Honda break it, Honda will fix it. Yeah.
So okay, Russ, do you have warranties in your contracts?
I do not know, because I didn't build it. I installed it and I recommended it, but I'm not responsible for keeping the code base up if anything were to happen.
What about your code?
My code, yeah. My code, everything has, like, I will refund your money anytime you want, but you have to give me
right now. I want my money right now.
Give it to me.
No, but it says you have to at least give me 30 days to try to figure out your problem, because it's not like I can figure it out.
You have 30 days starting right now.
Go. Figure out Steve's problem. We've been trying for like 3 years.
Starting 29 days ago, you have no, but like, because things go wrong and it takes time to debug. There's nothing that just says, oh, like, I can't just say you're on GoDaddy, that's your problem. Like, you're going to have to, like, check things out. So you got to have some kind of length and time to say, please debug my site, let's figure out what's wrong, and take it from there,
Well, that's why hourly billing is a wonderful thing, bud.
Yeah.
Hourly billing.
Hourly is awesome.
I think the difference that we're talking about here for me is the difference between support and maintenance. Because I think maintenance is just keeping things running. It's the oil changes, it's the gas in the car, it's the washing the windshield. Anything else to me is outside of maintenance because it's not just maintaining it. Maintaining it to me just means this still works, this core thing. As opposed to let's add something, or Sarah decided to try to change her own oil, or that's the equivalent of someone installing their own plugin and it all breaking everything. Like, I think that that's extra on top of it because you're leaving the little cocoon that you've created of what was there.
Are you leaving money on the table and not giving your clients a level of service that you possibly could because of a nomenclature issue?
No, I would say that you would have to charge for the extra stuff is what I'm saying. I'm saying the only thing, and this
I'm not saying any of this is anything you give up for free.
I think all of it is something you have to charge for.
Absolutely.
I think everything here. I think updating is worth paying for. If the client doesn't want to do it themselves and whatever, I think they should pay for it, whether it's to the original developer or to a third-party service or whatever.
One exception.
Is worth money.
What's the exception,
What's the
Steve?
exception?
If you broke it?
Bugs. I broke it.
Yeah.
What if I broke it?
Oh, if you break it, you gotta fix it. Like, if the dev breaks it, the dev has to fix it. There's no way around that at all.
Okay.
It's like when a Twitter widget breaks and they're like, hey, I'm not getting any tweets anymore. And you're like, well, that's because Twitter changes their API every, 3 minutes. Right. And you're like, well, I got to go and update the Twitter widget now, and I got to go make some changes to it. This is why you use third-party stuff, so that way you can blame it on the third party.
Jason, I think you're off a little bit. Twitter changes their stuff every 1 minute.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
Every 1 minute.
My apologies.
Well,
but Google changes their stuff every 20 seconds.
Or Monday.
I think the other exception is how long have they been using WordPress? If they're brand new, you can't just say, hey, I hope you go install things and hope they work. I think you have that grace period. But I think if they've been your client for 10 years, yeah, you're kind of responsible on your own plugins and don't call me.
I think that depends. I think that depends on the situation. If they're brand new WordPress.
That's what I'm saying.
Wait, so the answer to this question is it depends? What happens?
Wait, I'd like to address something that Russell just said. He said, don't call me about something because they broke something. I would very much disagree with that. I would say call me and then pay me, and I will fix whatever it is that you broke.
Yeah.
Fair enough, but
you really trained Sarah well.
What you're talking about, Russ, what you're talking about is a training issue, right? So if you've got a new client, then you should be paid for that training time so that you could bring them up to speed. Yeah. And really, ultimately, that's a money savings for them in the future, right? So you're training them on how not to break their own stuff.
I think that's still maintenance because you're not maintaining software, but you're maintaining your client so they have the knowledge. I think that falls underneath what we're going with.
I think you're all right, and I think what it really...
I think you're all right.
I think you're all right. I think you're all right. But no, what I think it really comes down to is that what we're all saying is that this is something you have to have a plan for. Whether it is you're a user or you're a developer. If you're a developer, you need to figure this out and put some sort of plan in here to cover these scenarios. And if you're a user who's hiring a developer, you need to ask these questions and get that stuff defined so that when something does inevitably happen, you know where the responsibility lies. Both of you do, and everyone's clear how much it will cost to even just evaluate it, how much it will cost to fix things, how much the maintenance costs. These are real costs that are consistent costs that are always going to be there, and I think that it's important to acknowledge them.
But how far do you go? I mean, like, you label, hey, gravity forms might break and this might break, because then somebody's going to say, well, say, you told me WordPress is so easy to use, and now I'm looking at all this maintenance stuff, and it doesn't look so easy. So,
and then I say, go talk to Squarespace about it, because that's what you do with that.
That's managing expectations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Let's and also like
that's a different episode.
Yeah.
I mean, as many of you know, and I think as I've discussed on the show before, I've worked with a lot of musicians, and a lot of musicians don't have a lot of money to throw around to hire a bunch of developers to stay on top of their site, and they don't know how to maintain it themselves because they're busy, you know, being pillars of creative expression. However, I have recently started recommending to several of them that they leave WordPress because they can't maintain it on their own.
I know, me too. It kills me. That's what I was saying at the why I did my whole rant about themes is because I hate this, but in some cases, it's it's becoming a problem, and people have to go to places where the updates are just happening, and it's hurting my feelings. Matt, get on it. Let's go. Let's go.
I think this.
Now.
I think we have our subject for next week.
What?
We have our topic for next week.
So we can finally have Squarespace as a sponsor, is what you're saying.
Where WordPress is going? I've been recommending it. It's sad. We're done. I don't want to talk about it. It makes me sad. Cry face.
On that note.
On that note, exactly. All right.
Well,
so
we'll
definitely talk about this stuff next week. Make sure you go to our website, WPwatercooler.com, and click on the links there to subscribe. If you want to watch us on YouTube, like you probably are now, you can go and click on those links there. We also
some people listen to us because they be cray-cray.
We also opened up and started a new show called WP Blab, which is over on blab.im.
We did?
So we sure did.
We didn't. Jason did. Big difference.
Do you have a mouse in your pocket?
Scroll down a little bit. You can go take a look at that. It's a show where we get 4 people and we talk about WordPress stuff and answer questions that people have. So
can I be on?
You can be on.
Can I be on? What the hell?
I had to make sure stuff works first before I invite you folks.
That's fair.
All right,
All right, you heard it here first. Jason doesn't love us anymore.
Hashtag sobby face or whatever.
Hashtag cry face. Hashtag
Cry face.
Jason doesn't love us
Apparently, you
anymore.
guys don't look at my social media. All right, guys.
I
See y'all
saw
later.
it.
Bye-bye.